right. Well, see here. I'll say morning time to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is the 1122 Wingnut Radio out here for Anarchy Television. You know, I've been thinking of a lot of things, and I've been listening to a lot of people out there, and it really bothers me. Uh, that so many people are believing and even demanding our own slavery. And let's see here. I want to invite guests up on the panel so we can have a discussion or a debate. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And hopefully we can get some people up. Morning time or afternoon time out there in the UK. Good to see you. I one of the main things is that I wonder is how do people does anybody really believe that we can govern ourselves? Can we govern ourselves? See, the thing that bothers me is that there's a lot of people out there that believe that we as humans cannot govern ourselves. All right, and this is the logic that is portrayed to me, and I have seen that there's a lot of people out there that believe that we as humans cannot govern ourselves, but yet in the same type of belief, they also believe that a small group of humans can govern millions. If we as humans cannot govern ourselves, how can anybody believe that a small group of people, a small group of humans, can actually govern millions? If those small group of people cannot even govern themselves, how can they govern millions? Why do people believe that we need a small group of humans to govern over us and basically force us into behaving a certain way, thinking a certain way, um, eating, drinking, sleeping a certain way, thinking a certain way? I find it very interesting that some of these people that I've talked to that believe this logic that we cannot govern ourselves, but we need to be governed by others. Uh-huh. Um, and honestly, done by force. All right, you know, because quite honestly, All right. See, I'm coming from the mentality of an American, the values and morality and of an American. All right, and like I said, there, you're out there in the UK, for instance. Um, see, I've talked to a lot of people over in Europe and all over Europe, and um, and a lot of them actually believe that they have to have some kind of governing body to tell them how to, think, to live, how to how to behave. Well, see, this is another thing I was trying to get at too. Is like the there's a lot of people out there that believe that these people are smarter. These people are so smart. They're the ones that should be the ones that govern over everybody. And the argument is like because those people believe that those people over there are smarter than they are. Like, okay, I'm just gonna, instead of using this word they and all that stuff, I'll just say, okay, um, there are people out there that believe that there are smarter people than they are, and those smart people should tell us how to believe, how to think, how to behave, um, just because they're smarter than the average person. Okay, um, the logic is the what the lower IQ people, the ones that are quote unquote not as smart, they cannot govern themselves. All right, this is the problem. This is the problem that I have with it. I know I'm not the smartest person out there. I'm just an average Joe. All right. Um, but just because that other person over there has a higher IQ or whatever you want to call it, um, let's see here. But should we live in a Mad Max Thunderdome world? Well, okay, put it this way. All right, you look at a Mad Max Thunderdome world, okay? That's still not freedom. That's still a governing body. Because if you actually watch the movie Thunder, the Mad Max Thunderdome, there was a governing body over that town that basically made the rules, made the whole scenario in that little Mad Max scenario. I mean, quite honestly, what's different from that to what we have today? See, that's a false argument, quite honestly, because Mad Max Thunderdome is what we live in today. It's the same exact thing. Okay. What gives those small group of humans the the belief that they have a higher claim over everyone else's life and property than they do? Just because they might be a little bit smarter? Just because those group of humans over there, like you get, I'm just going to use America for instance. Okay, you got a group of people that sit around a damn table And they're supposedly, quote unquote, the smart people. All right. Those smart people will make decisions for millions of people in this country. All right. But yet, majority of people do not believe that we can govern ourselves. Okay, I won't say a majority. I say a lot of people believe that we cannot govern ourselves. I mean, they need to be told what to do or how to think, how to behave by another human. I do not think that, well, I know that no one has a higher claim over my life and my property than I do. Okay. I don't have a higher claim over those smart people's lives and property. If I don't have that ability and that claim, and I cannot have that claim, what dictates them to have a higher claim over my life? What gives them the right to dictate to me on how I should behave, how I should think, how I should live my life? See, the idea that a small group of humans have the moral right to rule over others and everyone else has the obligation to obey those small group of humans. See, this mentality, this idea, which you can't really kill an idea, but this idea has been on this planet for, centuries. All right. And I'm going to come back to the land that we call America. All right. And I'm directing this toward anybody out, like in Europe, for instance. All right. Why did most people leave those countries back in the day when this land called America was, first found and uh, colonized or occupied or whatever you want to call it? Why did those most of those people leave those countries to come here? All right. Well, the main reason is because of the bullshit uh, ideological notion that a small group of humans have a higher claim over their life and property, and they're like, no, fuck you. All right. So they came here so they can be free of that. Okay. And that's a lot of reasons why a lot of people still do it today. They leave all these other countries and come here because those other countries have a governing body or a governing group of people that rule over them. Okay. See, the one of the greatest things about this American experiment is it's never been done before. For centuries, there's always been some kind of governing body that believed they had a higher claim over your life and property than you do. And they are willing to use force and violence to take it from you or put you in a position of submission or domestication, in a sense. Okay. This is one of the greatest things about how this great experiment came about in this country. All right, is because people, you know, just average people, common people, whatever, believed that that was all bullshit and knew it was bullshit. That's why they came here, to start over, be a free people, free man from rulership and some group of humans believing that they're our masters. And I've said this before, if I was to put a label to it, I'm an anarchist, because I do not see any legitimacy in rulership or a master. There is no legitimacy in that. And this is what bothers me a lot, because, this is over time, over the past 300 some odd years, you know, see, that's been tainted. Okay. That idea, that the values and the, of being a free man, free from a master, free from a ruler. The the idea that this is legitimate, or the rulership and masters and all that, the idea of that being transplanted into this land called America, and then that idea is being spread into this nation, whatever you want to call it, to make people believe that we need this, we have to have this. The main reason why is because those that have been in those positions of power for centuries, they don't want that to go away. Yeah, I have to agree on a lot of aspects of that. But but that didn't start until the see, even like that, when it comes down to the birth certificates, that didn't start until, what was it, I think it was after World War II or something like that, when the first birth certificates were actually issued out. But for a couple of hundred years before even the Constitution was written, we didn't have any of that stuff. All right. That's why I'm saying it's like, what, 1492, sailed across the ocean blue, whatever, and came out here, and then, we lived, and then we lived as free people in a sense, and then these psychopaths trying to, uh, you know, um, transplant that idea that we must be governed, we must be controlled, came later on, when, and then was it the Articles of Confederation, and then the Constitution and all that stuff was written. See, for a few hundred years we didn't have any of that. See, in the past 300 years they've been trying to flip that and make everybody believe that we need these things. We need a small group of humans to govern over us and tell us how to believe, how to think, how to behave. I mean, even in this country, um, we're the only country in centuries. We're the only people in centuries to basically realize that slavery is wrong. For centuries, it was the norm. It's how it's been. And the reason why they want to keep that going is because they have their livelihoods, or their living is dependent on us, the regular common people that do all the, that produce everything, that create everything. Because these so-called elites or these so-called smart people or these so-called royals or whatever, they don't produce anything. They don't create anything. They just basically live off of the sweat equity of us. See, that's the reason why all governments around the world for centuries do not want anarchy, because anarchy is voluntary. Anarchy is, it's voluntarism. Anarchy is also there's no rulers and no masters. See, all governments for centuries have all believed that they can be and they should be and they have the moral right to be your ruler and your master. And they will use any means necessary up to killing you to keep that. The idea that people have expressed to me that anarchy can never exist or it has never existed and all this other stuff, and is because there are people out there, these psychopaths, that believe that they have a higher claim over your life and property than you do. And they will use up to death to keep it because they live off of you. And now, in this day and age, they're trying to consolidate that into one world government, one world religion, one world of thought, because they want to live off of your sweat, your earnings. I mean, because quite honestly, man, if people stopped supporting this, do you really think that these so called leaders and politicians and royals would actually survive? I mean, Michelle, good to see you out there. I'll tell you this, Michelle. The reason why I'll, we may not actually defeat tyranny is because too many people sit there and bicker about bullshit. Bullshit, fucking he said, she said shit. There's nothing productive, nothing positive about it. Okay? I have no desire to get into that. I rather focus my energy on what's really the problem. All right? Well, unfortunately, Michelle, I don't give a shit about drama. I don't give a shit about what he said, what she said. I don't care. It doesn't fucking matter. There's nothing positive. There's nothing productive about it. All it does is create division and it creates hate and discontent. That's all it does. So I don't want to participate. And I quite honestly, I wish more people would actually stop participating in all that shit. Because quite honestly, it's the same thing as back in the slave plantations. One of their tactics to keep the slaves controlled is to actually throw division in there. You know, he's fat, he's skinny, he's tall, he's thin. Oh, he's better looking and he's ugly. Okay. While the slave owners are sitting up on the porch laughing at you because you're still slaves. You have to get out of that slave mentality. You have to actually open your mind up and let that brush fire of freedom spread through people's minds. See, the word government actually comes from, if you go to the etymological definition of government, it's made of two words, Gervino and mentis. They're made of two Latin words, Gervino and mentis. Gervino means to govern or to control, and mentis means the mind. To govern the mind, mind control. That's all what government is mind control. See, the thing is, Michelle, the only one you should worship is the Most High, the Creator. And that's the only one you should bow down to. There is no man on this planet that you should worship. There's no man on this planet that you should bow down to. And when you participate in the human condition or the human belief that another man or another human has a higher claim over your life and property than you do, you are going further and further away from the Creator. This is the problem worldwide for centuries, because it really does come down to a battle between good and evil. All right. The evil wants to corrupt you. It wants you to go further and further away from the Creator. And that's the problem that I have been seeing a lot of. While all of you out there bickering about bullshit out there in the fields, the master is sitting on the porch, drinking his tea, laughing at you because he knows you're still a slave. This this is my hmm, this is the problem. Can you govern yourself? Can you govern yourself? Can you be your own master? And that's a pretty legit question right there. Because I mean, I want to know on a majority basis. I don't know, there's some 5 people here in the chat. Uh, can you govern yourself? Can you be your own master? And that's either a yes or a no. Are you, Michelle? Are you your own master? Are you governing yourself? Because I've seen it a lot. You know, um, I've been on YouTube for probably going on a little over 12 years. Okay. I've seen the progression of YouTube, for instance. This is the only social network I'm on when it comes down to the internet. Oh, laws. I make sure I don't break laws if you mean that. Well, see, okay. See, that's another thing. Laws. You need money. Oh, you need money. Okay. Why do you need money and why do you need laws? Okay. Who creates money? Who creates laws? Okay. This is where I was getting at. This is the governing body that you believe, that most people believe. I'm not going to say you. I'm just going to say most people. Most people believe that we need some, I don't know, small group of people out there making these decisions for the rest of us. Okay. Well, see, the thing is, these laws are not reality. These laws are fiction. This is a way of a governing body, a group of humans, telling you on how you should behave. Well, see, I'll say this. Technically, only the Creator creates laws. Men create statutes, codes, policies, rules, regulations, edicts. These are of men. These are not of God or the Creator, whichever you want to call it. I call it the Creator because I have my own view of what the Creator is. And those are the only ones that you should obey because that is the most high. That is the only true law. Well, see, right there, I don't want to serve 25 to life in the state penitentiary because there are a group of people believe that they have a higher claim over your life and property than you do because they wrote down some words on a piece of paper and says, we will punish you if you don't behave the way we want you to behave. We will punish you if you do not do what we tell you to do. Like I said, the question, like I say with the question, can you or do you think that you can govern yourself? If you do not believe you can govern yourself, what makes you believe that those group of people that can't govern themselves can actually govern over millions? If these group of people, they're humans just like us, if we cannot govern ourselves as humans, what makes anybody believe that those group of humans that can't govern themselves can govern over millions? This is the cognitive dissonance that I'm trying to get at. This idea that a small group of humans have a higher claim over your life and property than you do, and they have the moral right to rule over you, and you have the obligation to just obey. And if you don't, you'll be punished. See, humans, or man, whatever you want to call it, all they have is force and violence to make you do their will. See, the Creator endowed all of us with free will. All right. These smart people, whatever you want to call them, they believe that they know better than you on how you should behave, how you should live, how you should think. And they will use force up to killing you if you do not obey their free will. Therefore, you don't have free will, because if you had free will, you would tell them to fuck off. See, the only thing that you should obey is the Creator, and the Creator will punish you if you don't obey. Those are the only ones that you should. See, the thing is, the way I see things, I honestly think that we must put the fear of God back into those people that do not fear God anymore. And they will use any means necessary up to killing you if you don't obey their will. All right. See, the thing is, belief is the enemy of knowing. Okay. I know there is a creator. All right. The way I see the creator, this is my explanation. Now, I don't care what everybody else thinks and how they see it. The way I see it, the creator is made up of man and woman. It's the male and female aspect that comes together in that eternal union and become one. And that is Mother Nature and Father Time. That is the constant that exists everywhere. Okay? That is the creator of all life on this fucking planet. And when you go further and further away from the creator, you go further and further toward man or humans to tell you how to think, how to believe, how to behave. This, they've had their run for centuries. You can go as far back as Caesar or whatever, but for centuries, there's always been a small group of people that believe they have a higher claim over your life and property than you do. And if you don't agree with that, they will punish you. And if you don't obey their free will, they will punish you. They will use violence and force, coercion, and they'll try to compel you. This is evil. This is not of the Creator. The, the true nature of what's going on right now is basically that fight between good and evil. The thing is about good and evil, both are necessary, and you can't have one without the other. That's why I subscribe to the dangerous freedom scenario. I rather have dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery. See, let's see, hold on. Or the state can put you in a high security psychiatric hospital and steal your mind. Had it done to the family and members of 23 years. Well, okay, the state. What is the state? A state is a legal fiction. The state is nothing but a state of mind. It is nothing but a fiction. It only exists on paper. The state is not flesh and blood. We, the humans, we are flesh and blood. See, the problem is, that's the reason why I went to define government. It's it's a control the mind. The state is nothing but a state of mind. If you believe the state has a higher claim over your life and property than you do, you believe in a fiction. The belief is the enemy of knowing. You may know. See, that's the way the thing is. It's like today, and for centuries, they want you to believe that the state or the government or these royals have this ultimate power over you because they wrote it down on a piece of paper. They wrote these statutes, codes, policies, rules, regulations on a piece of paper, and by God, man, you know, because the statute says this is legal, because the statute says this is legal. You know, it's time to take back what was taken from us. It is time for all of us worldwide to take back what was taken from us. See, the thing is, like here in America, um, we've only had about 300 years of indoctrination into that mentality. Unfortunately, out in Europe, you guys had about 1,000 or more years of that. Your ancestors all believed in this state, in the royals, in the whole idea that a small group people actually had a higher claim over their life. So they taught it on to their children, they taught it to their children, and taught it to their children. That's how you know it today. They've had their run. For centuries, they've had their run. The time is now for the people to take back what was taken. Take back our power. Take back our ability to govern ourselves. Take back our ability to be our own masters. And unfortunately, out in Europe, your ancestors have allowed you guys to be neutered from your way to defend yourself from these psychopaths. And these psychopaths have uh, used the threats of violence against you if you do not comply with their edicts, their rules, their statutes, their codes. And it really does come down to fear, because over generations, your ancestors were too afraid to stand up to these psychopaths. And that mentality has been passed on and passed on and passed on. The reason why so many people back in the day came to this land called America, because they knew that that was not right. It was wrong for these small group of people to rule over them. And they came here to be free people. That's why this great experiment on this land called America is such a great thing, because it's never been done before. For centuries, it's never been done before, except for in small pockets and stuff like that. Small pockets, small groups. It hasn't been in a big, massive, thing like in a nation or a country. I mean, hell, even today, there's a lot of people that leave those countries to come here so they can be free people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that still subscribe to this idea that we need this, government, and we need a small group of people to tell us how to believe, how to think, how to act, how to behave. Until people realize that we don't need that, it'll continue. And the more people that actually believe that we need that and actually demand that we keep that, that's the problem. That's the problem. It's not necessarily these small group of people out there that are dictating this. It's actually the ones that actually believe that those small group of people, that they do have a higher claim. I don't give a shit what country you live in. It's the same thing for centuries. There's always been a small group of people that will use force and violence for you to comply with their free will, because the creator endowed all of us with that. That's what's dangerous to those small group of people. If people actually realized that we do have this right. We all were born with this right of free will, and the right to live, the right for freedom, the right to pursue happiness. Until we stop bickering about bullshit, if we don't stop bickering about bullshit, we'll never, ever be free. It's amazing how there's so many people out there that think that if we don't have government, we're just going to be living in the fucking woods in a cave somewhere. I don't see how that, I don't understand that logic. I don't understand how people think that that is the reality. And I've said this example many times before. We all participate in anarchy one way or another. every single day of our lives, but you're just not noticing it. My example, for instance, I'll give you an example. You know, you got somebody that wants to open up a grocery store or something like that, you know, like some kind of a store with a bunch of items in it to sell. All right. So he, you know, gathers up enough money or whatever, or enough, you know, finances or whatever to open up his store. And he puts a bunch of stuff in there. All right. And he opens the doors up, open for business. And there's like all these other people around there and be like, oh, look, there's a new store over there. They got all this other good stuff over there. I'm going to go over there. And they go in there, they go looking around and they find something they like. And, and they buy an item from that person that opened that store. And then they take that item and go home and whatever, whatever. Right there, that is anarchy because nobody forced that guy to open that store and put all those items in that store to sell. Nobody forced that other guy to come into that store and buy one of those items. It was all voluntary. That is anarchy because it's voluntary. It's voluntary. There is a difference between voluntary and being forced into it. There are some countries that you cannot actually get a certain type of a job. You couldn't get the type of job you want. You're actually told to what type of job you can have. You were actually told on how much earnings you can get out of that job. There's you're forced in some aspects to, like, if you wanted to open up a fucking business, you're forced into doing so in certain countries because they won't allow you to just open up anything. You're forced into opening this kind of store. And then, well, I mean, if you don't have any other choice of any other thing, you're forced to go shop at that store. It's almost kind of like the free market scenario too, you know. It's voluntary, you know. If you can, if anybody can just open up a store and, you know, and you got other people out there open up stores, you at least have a choice. You can go to that store or you can go to that store. You don't have to go to that store. You're not forced into going to that store because I can go over here and shop instead if I don't want to go there. The problem that we have today is that, and this is actually because this is just repeating itself through history also, but that there's too many people out there focusing on bullshit. And well, that's the problem. You're not focusing on what's real. You're focusing on bullshit. Doesn't really matter. And then when when your focus is on that, on this bullshit type of crap, you're not focused on what's real, what's really happening. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to believe. Since, like I said, belief is actually the enemy of knowing. They don't want to believe that they can govern themselves, or they don't believe anyone can govern themselves. I've met a lot of people out there also that they believe they can govern themselves, but they don't believe anybody else can. Or how they say it is like, well, I don't think they can. I can, but I don't think they can. That's bullshit. You know, they are really trying here on this land called America. They're really trying to take away or at least force our ability to protect ourselves away from us through legislation, through rules, regulations, statutes, codes, and all this other bullshit. And I mean, they did that already in other countries already. They basically neutered everyone because the ruling group of people believe that they have a higher claim over your life and property, and they're the only ones that have the moral right to protect themselves. But you don't. Okay, would people help each other out if it happened? All right. And you're like, here, I doubt it. That is a defeatist attitude. Because quite honestly, man, deep down in everyone's hearts, I believe that, and I know, actually, I know that they know what's right and wrong. I know they know that compassion and empathy is right. But the way the governing bodies, they want us to bicker amongst ourselves. They want us to not be compassionate because they want us to depend on it, the quote unquote, the state. They want us to depend on it, a fiction, a legal fiction. I know people will help each other. I know people do have compassion for others. I see it all the time. Yeah, there are some bad people out there. So what? I don't care, you know, but that's not the majority. That's only a small group. Same thing with those small group thinking that they can rule over others. They're not willing to help you. They're not willing to be compassionate for you. Those are the small group of people on this fucking planet. That's not majority. Majority of people will. And the idea that people won't be compassionate, won't help each other out. That's because they want their will done. They're willing to use force and violence on others, and they'll use the state to do it for them. You know, the reason why I'll tell you this: when it comes down to the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment was written and on a piece of paper. It was actually pinned on paper for the government, quote unquote, to obey. Because the Second Amendment was written down on a piece of paper to protect and ensure our right that is endowed by the Creator to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government. That's the whole reason why the Second Amendment was put there, so we can defend ourselves from our own government if it became tyrannical. It's not put there to protect our right to hunt or target practice or whatever. That's not the reason why it was pinned on paper. See, the Second Amendment is not a law that we, the people, must obey. It is a law the government is supposed to obey. And everyone, no matter what country you live in, everyone has the right to defend their life and their property with any means necessary. And if anybody that actually says the opposite, that we or the contrary, is your enemy. Anyone that wants to disarm you is your enemy. They're not your friends. They don't have your best interest at heart. And I do believe you do, Michelle. And actually, I'm not even going to say I believe it. I know you do. The only problem is, over in Europe, you've all been indoctrinated for 1,000 or so years. For generations, you've been made to believe that the government is the supreme law. Well, Michelle, you know, see, that's the reason why, when it comes down to the defending yourself with any means necessary, comes into play. All right. Now, do you really think that people will just willy nilly nick whatever you have out of your house if they knew that you're willing to use a weapon and kill them if they tried? I mean, I, I'll give you an example. You got a burglar out there that's scoping out some neighborhoods. All right. You got one neighborhood over here that every single person that lives in that neighborhood are that are armed with some kind of a weapon, and they're willing to use it to protect their life and their property. All right. Well, if that burglar knows that everyone in that neighborhood's got a weapon and they're willing to use it, they're not going to go to that neighborhood. They're most likely going to go to the neighborhood down the street where everybody doesn't have a weapon, and they are going to be victims, because a burglar or whatever, they're looking for the least path of resistance. They are looking for nobody firing back at them. They're looking to go in, do their thing, and get out without anybody getting in their way. That's the problem of being neutered. You become a victim. This nation of victims. Government has no obligation to protect you. They have even the cops, they have no obligation to protect you. And why is that? Because there is a small group of psychopaths that have free will, and will use violence and force to tell you that you don't have a high claim over your own life. The burglar becomes the victim if you try to do anything. Because these small group of psychopaths believe that you can't do anything about it. And they will punish you if you try. I understand that's the way the system is at the moment, but that's the way it's been for centuries. That's what I'm saying. For centuries, we've all been normalized into this belief that these small group of people can tell us how to think, how to behave, how to live our lives, how to protect our lives. You know damn well those small group of psychopaths, they will use any means necessary to protect their life, won't they? If I don't have the right to go and I don't know, buy an expensive car and put it on a credit card or something like that, and now I that debt that I made by purchasing that car, if I don't have the right to go over to my neighbor's house and force him to pay my debt for that expensive car that I got, what gives the government the right to buy some expensive toys and then make you pay for it? If I don't have the right to put my hands on somebody and initiate violence on someone else, what gives the government the right to put hands on me and force me and, initiate violence onto me just because they got a badge and a gun and a funny costume that gives them the right? Just because they wrote some fancy words on a piece of paper and it gives them, the uh, the the idea that they have the right to do that? You know, here in this country, for instance, um, how cops were actually invented in this country is to capture runaway slaves. That's the reason why cops were actually invented into this country, so they can go out and catch those runaway slaves. And you see how cops treat the general public today. In a sense, they believe basically everyone is a runaway slave and they can do whatever the fuck they want. And they can lie to you. They can actually kidnap you. They can steal your property. And in this country, they have the ability to take your life if you don't obey. Well, afternoon there, sir.
It is afternoon, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
How are you doing? Is it good Christmas? Is it a good waiting for the new year? And
sure, I guess. I didn't do anything.
all I can say is I decided to watch First Blood. I haven't watched it. I was literally just clicked on it then. I got it up because I've got it. I own it. But yeah, I watched something on YouTube earlier, some snippets of First Blood, and this guy goes, I enjoy, sorry, taking a drink every time uh, John Rambo's civil rights are abused.
Right?
Obviously, in no time you're drunk.
Yeah. That's actually a good movie, actually.
It really
You
is.
know, I mean, and there's a quote out of that movie. It's like, uh, they drew first blood.
Yeah.
All right. And honestly, man, if everybody had that basic mentality, you know, just live your life, do not
Yeah.
initiate violence on any other person or other,
Yep.
and all that stuff, the golden rule, basically. Basically, that's how,
Anarchy is.
yeah, and that's how Rambo
Yeah.
lived also. All right. But,
I mean, he is a drifter, isn't he? Let's say, he is a drifter. So he's a homeless guy drifting, but he
right.
didn't just drift. He was going somewhere, and his friend from the army had died of cancer. So now he was lost. So yeah, suddenly he was drifting, but he
Hmm.
wasn't planning on staying in that town that the cop had a problem with.
Right.
You know, when he's driving him through that town, he says
Yeah.
to the cop, "Is there anywhere around here that I can get something to eat?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a diner about 30 miles up the highway.
Mhm.
And it's like, is there any law against me getting something to eat around here? And he says, me.
Yeah.
I'm the
Because
law.
we don't
That's a
want
civil
your kind
rights
around
abuse.
here.
They're
Yeah,
going to be civil rights abused. Done.
yeah.
I mean,
We don't want your kind around here. I don't like the way you look, so we want you out. You know
in
what I mean?
fact, it really is that. That other cop, he's really like that, isn't he? You know, when he's not answering his name, the guy goes, "If you want trouble, boy, you
Right.
come to the right place."
Well, I mean, you see that. I mean, hell, you can watch many, many videos on YouTube of cop interactions, and that's exactly how they treat the
It is.
public. I mean, and the only reason why a lot of that stuff comes on YouTube, for instance, is because nowadays everybody's got a fucking camera. You know, back in the
Mhm.
day before the internet was invented, none of that stuff actually made it out for people
No,
to see.
I
You
bet
know,
some
but it
people got
happened
it
all the
sitting on
time.
videotapes though somewhere that they've never thought
Well,
about.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I don't know where it is right now, but I know back when
I
I
know
was
you have,
doing,
yeah.
when I was cop watching back in those days, it was, there's probably some stuff on VHS somewhere. I don't have access to it anymore. It's like probably some of the guys I used to run with back in those days, probably still have it. I don't know, but but those videos that are on VHS, it was really hard to get those videos out to the general people
But
to see. Because there was
I
really
mean,
no
you need
way
a
of getting it
television
out.
station.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Mm.
that was it. Having a pirate radio or television station, that was the only way to get it out. You know, and I really wish I did have some of those old VCR tapes. That would be kind of cool because I mean,
You could be
um,
like, well, who was doing it first?
well, that's the thing. It's like it's not a new thing. A
No.
lot of these First Amendment auditors and stuff like that, or whatever you want to call them, or these cop watches and stuff. They're acting like this is brand new, like sliced bread. But no, it's been happening for a long time. I personally have been beating my head against this wall for over 20 years. You know what I mean? And I was doing it in the late 80s and early 90s when I was doing it. You know, before
Yeah.
the internet, before YouTube, before all this shit. You know, and I was just sitting out there with a VHS camcorder and a notepad. That's all I had.
I'd spoke about this, like just going with a notepad and maybe a hidden camera.
Right.
Like, because I don't really believe in the whole hidden camera thing unless it's for a reason. And if this would be a good enough reason, you walk out there with a notepad. You're like, what, drawing a little plan of the area. You're making a few notes, and they come out and they go, "What you doing?" You're like, "Well, what does it look like?"
See this?
Do
Yeah.
you need a detective course to work out what I'm doing?
Right.
It's simple, isn't it? I'm drawing. I'm writing.
See,
What
this is
do
the
you
thing.
do?
This is the thing I started out with. It's like the whole question is like, can can we govern ourselves? And if we as people are able to govern ourselves, we don't need a government. All right.
Well, even with government, I think we can only govern ourselves to a degree.
How is that?
There's a certain point at which
Let me just go to a personal aspect. Can you govern yourself, or can you only govern yourself to a limit?
up to a certain limit, yes.
You can only govern yourself to a limit.
You have to be absolutely honest, and I don't think everyone is. And even I might be subject to not being completely honest at some time. Like, yes, maybe I have reversed into something and driven away. Maybe it was a cop car, a police officer's private car, and it was 3 a.m, and I didn't want to really open that can of worms, so I drove away. I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd wrote that car off. No one was in it. It was 3 a.m.
Right.
Am I wrong for that? Am I going to go to hell for that? I don't know, but
Oh no.
I didn't govern myself. Is my point
No, you did. You basically did govern yourself.
correctly?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, to be, I guess, correct, there should be just compensation for the damage.
Yeah, that's what I
To be
didn't want to.
to be correct, yeah,
Yeah, so I didn't govern myself properly, really.
right. But do you need someone to govern you? I mean, do you need somebody to sit there and make you do the right thing?
Well, I don't think they could have at that exact time in my life.
But I'm
Like a
saying,
19-year-old. Michelle missed what I said. Okay, I'll say it again. I reversed into a police officer's private car into the side of it. Both doors and the pillar went in, and I drove away at 3 in the morning. Yeah, the rear window was so iced up, I couldn't actually get going over the road. And when I put some extra power in, it
so
zoomed back.
do you need some governing body to make you or
No,
force you to actually do the right thing, or
no, but let's say I'd killed someone and driven away. Now, whether I need that or not, I'm basically kind of saying it as an example
well,
for other people.
well, quite
Not everyone
honestly,
can govern themselves, maybe like I have.
I mean, you will be judged.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, like for instance, if you had like, backed into somebody and, killed them and stuff like that, and you drove off and you just go on about your day and all that stuff and all that, never, nothing ever happened out of it, all that stuff, you will still be judged by the creator.
Yeah, yeah, I get
All
it.
right. Now, it's that the idea in the fear of God, I guess you would call it, or and
Sorry for
that's really what's missing, honestly, I guess. If you believed it, if you knew at that time that, oh shit, well, you know, um, I will be judged by the Creator. Now, do I want to make this right? Now, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that you're an evil person or you're a bad person, but there are evil and bad people out there, and they
and
wouldn't give a shit. They don't
they
care,
wouldn't give a shit. Yeah, they'd kill someone and drive away. That's my
right?
point. They do
But
need governing, don't they?
well, no, quite honestly, man. But I mean, there is a way to hold them accountable, and but that comes down to the people actually doing it for themselves. You know, um, like for instance, that person that you hit their car. Now,
Yeah.
in a basically in a perfect world where we all govern ourselves, well, that person will have to take it upon himself to figure out who did it, and then
He
hold
wasn't
them
a good enough detective, unfortunately.
right, and then hold them accountable. You know what I mean? And so they have to pay just compensation for the
Hmm.
damages.
Hmm.
All right, because that is really where it comes down to. Um, the morality and value system has been distorted into this idea that we need a small group of people. All right, if okay, I'll put it this way, SG, if we are not able to govern ourselves, if we have a limited ability to govern ourselves, all right, and all of us are the same, when it comes down to that, we're all humans, right?
Hmm.
All right, what makes those small group of people, those small group of humans that can only limitedly, govern themselves, what gives them uh, the ability to govern over millions of people?
We give them that ability.
Okay, well, see, that's where it comes down to. It comes
Yeah,
down to, you giving up that
yeah.
ability to govern yourself, and you're giving that authority over to another to govern over you, who has the same ability to govern over themselves as you do, but yet now you're giving that all up to that other person, and they're governing over you fully.
What we somehow seem to have forgotten is that was all right for a time, because in general, those people that were helping govern us, wouldn't abuse that power too much, and we could keep them in check. Now,
How has that
along,
ever happened? How has that ever happened that we could actually keep them in check?
well, we had a lot more certainly in this country anyway, we had a lot more involved, as you could say, royal lords and so forth, that and dukes and
Right.
all that stuff.
Who kept
They
them
were
accountable?
involved, yeah, but they were involved with the public, to a degree more than the other.
But who actually held them accountable? I mean,
Well,
like let's say
those
let's say the
themselves. You know what I
royals
mean?
actually, let's say a royal backed up into your car. All right. How would you hold that royal accountable?
Well, I'd certainly hope I'd got some proof.
Okay. But I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, who holds them accountable?
What you mean is, even if I've got proof,
Yeah.
basically they're untouchable. They
Yeah.
pretty much are.
But
It's been proven. Yeah.
right. But I mean, even through history, how has anybody kept them accountable? How, I mean, they,
There was a time. I'll tell you, the only way, and it still stands now, is the majority. If the majority are opposing what they have done, to say it's bad, they have to take notice, because they cannot fight against everyone or the majority.
well, okay, if the majority knew that they were guilty,
Yeah, and the majority were bothered.
what, or even if that was the case, if the majority knew they were guilty and they were very bothered about it,
Then they're screwed in my eyes. Yeah,
well,
because public opinion's going to get more that way.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, but what would actually hold them accountable? I mean, what would force them to be accountable? What would
I know
actually?
where this is going. Of course,
Yeah,
it always goes there.
right.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
my point. It's like, all right.
um,
Well, I mean, if I don't have the right to like do harm to others, what gives them the right to do harm to us?
agree.
You know, if I don't have that right to do that, if I don't have the right to initiate violence on someone, what gives them the right to initiate violence on us? Because they do that in the name of, law or
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it.
and that's what first blood is, isn't it?
Exactly.
They
I,
initiate violence on him. He initiates greater violence on
yeah,
them,
he
and they
holds
didn't know
them
who they were
accountable.
messing with.
He holds them
Yeah,
accountable.
he really does. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, because and quite honestly, I believe honestly, I mean, I was sitting there, I was watching some podcast the other day of some of these special forces guys and stuff like that went over into like Afghanistan or whatever, and they were talking about all these experiences they had, like for instance, like the first time they killed somebody or something like that,
Yeah.
and I was sitting there thinking about it, and because a lot of these guys, after they got out of the military, they started really realizing what they did, and in the name of whatever, when they went over there, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they started realizing what they did and how wrong it really was, you know. Um, and to me, once they realized this, you know, they started, really fighting against that, basically that idea that, war is good, and being told what to do and how, being told to go over there and kill these people, whatever, and stuff like that, because they were ordered to do so and all that stuff. And
Well, that's what they want infantry though for, isn't it? That's in after World War II and during Vietnam, they changed the training so that they were literally infantile thought process soldiers. So that they would say, "Who, sir? There, sir. Bang! They're dead, sir. Who next, sir?" And it didn't matter who was in charge of the army, what politicians in government telling the army what to do, or what royal dignitary was in power at that time. It mattered not.
Right.
That is why it's called infantry.
Hmm. Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
But they really, pulled out all the stops for Vietnam.
Right. Well,
I mean, I'm surprised that soldiers don't have to go through some kind of Ludovico treatment, like Clockwork Orange, to like completely do them the other way. Like you have to be violent or something. Yeah.
yeah. Freedom Awaits is that police investigate themselves here. How can they
And
ever
here,
be held accountable? Well, I mean, I don't know where he's at, right, or he or she, whatever. I don't know where they're at, but that's how it is in America for definitely.
well,
Um,
the independent commission. It's called the independent commission anyway. That governs police misconduct and stuff. That's actually run by ex-police. So in a way, that's police.
and okay, so if these people are always being protected basically by their own, and they
Mhm.
investigate themselves, and then when they do that investigation, they find that, oh well, we've decided that we didn't do anything wrong. All right. How can they be held accountable for their
Well,
crimes?
I agree. It's the same with Jimmy Savile, like the prolific paedophile out here. That the politician who was in charge, now a politician, who was in charge of that, ticked a box and signed a paper to say, yeah, they're not going to look into Jimmy Savile anymore because there wasn't enough evidence. Well, they hadn't done their investigation properly then, really, had they? And
Well,
then we found out later that he was one, so a horrifically massive, like, one, that there should have been plenty of evidence, you'd have thought, you know? So, yeah, why aren't we holding them to account? And I do agree, the process almost isn't there for
right.
people to do. Certainly, if it is there, then it's not visible or known for people to do.
See, that's the thing. It's like, all right, the smart people, or the elite, or the politicians, or the cops, or whatever. They're all basically working for the same people. They're all part of the one big old one big organization. All right, and if the only way to hold them accountable is actually, is by the people. The people have to hold them accountable.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Right. And if people believe that they don't have the ability or the lawful right to do so, um,
Then they
well,
won't.
then they won't. Exactly.
They won't even have the fucking thought of it.
No, because local experiment UK.
Very
Good to see
local.
you, sir. I haven't seen you out here in a while. It's good to see you, sir. Um, um, See, this is another thing too. Is like these people decided that they can govern themselves. Cops and whatever, and the
Mhm.
government, whatever. They've decided they can govern themselves, but we cannot. And we must be governed by them who can govern themselves.
Mhm.
All right. The idea that the average people, no matter who they are, if we cannot govern ourselves, what makes those people uh,
Yeah, I mean,
able to govern
there's nothing
millions?
wrong with advice. A policeman stops you and he goes, "Look, all your lights are out at the back. There's obviously some problem." It should go like, "Oh, thank you. I'll get it booked in." And then if they see you again and again and again, then you're not learning, are you?
Mm.
Surely we've all got the chance to learn, and that's not there anymore. It's just like you're getting fined. You're getting fined. In fact, you've lost your license now. You know, like it's through
But
that.
but even then, you're basically getting permission from the ones that can govern themselves. You're getting permission to do whatever, they allow you to do.
Local's taking the piss there. He says, "I'm betting on the one world government to save us." Yeah. Save us from ourselves. Is it?
Well, I hope he's just trying to take a piss on it. You know what I mean?
Well, you see, I think he's actually learning off Danny Shine a bit, because Danny Shine's got the whole kind of.
Right. Well, I actually, there's some things. I mean, local experimentalists. You're welcome to come up if you want. Honestly, the more on the panel, the more the conversation
Yeah,
can get out there.
he says these 15-minute cities are going to be great. I was trying to explain to my friends the other day about this, yeah. And I've got lots of friends who like to drive their cars, And I'm saying, look, they're coming for your car. They're coming for your car. No
Right.
matter how much you think they're not, they really are. And you better get used to the idea real soon and try and do something about it or oppose it, because you ain't going to be able to do what you want.
Right. Slaves. We're slaves.
You want to pick something up off eBay that you bought and it's a bit far away, but you want to pick it up, you won't be able to. And that guy who delivers it to you will have driven across the country, but like when he goes home, he won't be able to go more than 15 minutes out of his.
Local experimentalist UK. Good to see you, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey,
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. But SG, doesn't that sound so great? You don't have to spend more than 15 minutes.
Well, what if you're stuck in traffic for most of it, though?
But there won't be any traffic.
Oh, there won't be any traffic, yeah, but there's still going to be problems.
The thing is about the 15-minute city scenario is you will be basically regulated to that 15-minute city and on how much you will be able to go outside of that 15-minute city.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you will be regulated onto whatever you have there inside that 15-minute city. You will be, regulated on whatever is provided there, like your grocery stores, your gas station, whatever, your schools, your whatever. You will be regulated on whatever is inside that, and that's it.
You've had too many pizzas this week. You're not even allowed any bacon,
I mean, I hope you're kidding about it, but I'm curious. I'm curious to hear more.
Well, that's a social credit system, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, a healthy lifestyle shouldn't eat bacon every day.
Yeah. Do you remember that movie called The Island, where they were in this system? They were basically genetically cloned, and the clones were in a little system where they would have to eat healthy and all that. Yeah, and the guy just wanted extra bacon because he liked it.
I didn't hear all of that.
That's like it's like a prison, to be honest. Yeah. Super controlled prison. They tell you what you can eat.
Right.
I mean, is it going to save lives? Maybe, to a degree. But is that right? It certainly ain't righteous.
Will it make us happier? I think it would.
Well, with less obesity.
It will make you happy.
What if those people that can't lose the weight, it's because of a genetic issue? So, like, I mean, maybe we should root those people out so that they, we get that genetic trait out of society. We should kill those people and sterilize them.
So what you asked, what if, it's a hypothetical.
Well, you see, the way I look at it, right? Governing anything has to be governed with the heart. If you govern it with the head, you're brutal.
Well, I'll have to throw something in there too, SG. See, the thing is, I have learned through my life so far, my gut will never lie to me. My head, my heart, and my dick will lie to me. Okay, and honestly, that's one of the things that the thing is when it comes down to the heart will lie to you. It will not tell you the whole truth all the time.
Well, you are right. I was talking about the gut. That gut instinct.
Right.
The instinct. We should both be a bit more specific and say instinct as opposed to, intelligence.
local experimentalists, how do you feel that people would be happier in that situation, like for instance, the 15-minute city or something like that? How do you think people
Okay,
will be happier?
give an example. The new structure that is being built in Saudi Arabia, the wall, the
Right.
Yeah,
beautiful,
you mean the super city?
the
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
city, yeah, the wall, yeah.
Hmm.
Everything's
Mm.
gonna be
The
within,
horizontal skyscraper as such.
yeah, everything's gonna be within 5 to 10 minutes away from you.
Hmm.
That's life, you know. If everything that I needed was 10 minutes away, oh, that would be so nice. That would be so great, you know.
Until it breaks down.
Well, is that
Until it
sustainable?
breaks down. If it breaks down, would it break down? Who knows?
Well, it's all been tried
Nothing
before.
lasts forever. Not that we've been building in a long time, anyway.
Man, I'll feel
It's all
so happy if everything was 5 minutes away from me. If everything in my life was 5 minutes away, I'll be so happy.
Do you think it's safe having a
but then
horizontal
you
super skyscraper city? It can all burn down, can't it? It just burn. It's all connected. It's just going to burn.
A normal house
that's
that we live in these
that's another
days
thing too.
can burn down. The
Yeah.
scenarios that you're talking about that could happen in the future could happen right now.
Okay.
Oh, it's possible.
So
Certainly not going to rule that out. Yeah.
so I mean, on that note, it's like, okay, well, what would be different about it? Just because something's closer to you, I mean, what would be different
Well,
than it
firstly,
is today, for instance?
the first thing that will be different is you won't need a car to travel to your
Hmm.
destination. You know,
So
it's
you
only
won't
five
need.
minutes away.
Well,
If you
of
get
You
course,
also. You're talking though that like
you won't
it's
have a
only 10
choice
minutes
either.
away, right? The furthest area is 10 minutes away. Yeah. So
But even then, it's like
you're not going to need to
you'll be forced to
exercise.
be able to only go yeah.
You'd have to have
It's like a
specific
basically
exercise time. Sorry.
in a s- it's like the 15-minute scenario in a sense. It's like basically an open air prison. You'll be forced to deal with have to be provided. You'll be have to be provided and allowed certain aspects inside that 15-minute area. So, like for instance, in that wall city down in Saudi Arabia, um, you'll be regulated on what businesses will be there, what kind of services you'll be able
Mhm.
to get, what kind of products, what kind of lifestyle will all be regulated and provided and allowed by another who is not going to actually that person or whatever that is allowing all this. They're not going to be subject to the same rules and regulations as you would be. They wouldn't have the same um, uh, narrow ability to shop to different stores or whatever. you know that's not going to be that's not going to be the same type of
Mhm.
regulation they would have to fall under.
Well, it's got to be different because if it's like that inside these 15-minute cities, right? What about outside? If it's all
Right.
like it is now, well then, what's that mean? Or if we get something similar, I mean, I live in a rural area. I'm not in a city. What if I want to travel to the city?
Right.
How long do I get? What the,
why would you want to
how's it
travel
going
And
to
to
how
work
the
for
many
me?
city?
Am I going to have to pay
Why,
some fine?
but SG, why would you want to travel to the city? I would
Well,
rather stay
it's
in my
not like there's
rural
any
area.
shops out where I live, man. Can't buy
But
anything.
but what do you need to live? You just need a bit of food and drink, and that's it.
Yeah, it's all got to travel for that.
You don't need
is that
the
all you
extras.
need?
chocolates and crisps. You don't need none of that.
That's not enough. There's more things that you need.
Yeah, obviously you need.
I mean, honestly, local experimentalist. I mean,
Some people need weed.
Well, I mean, the thing is for instance, I mean, so on that aspect, you will not have a choice but to what is provided to you.
So
I mean, all right, let's say, no, I'm saying it's like in that minute city, for instance, you will only be have access to what is provided to you. All right. All right. What about the freedom of actually just, traveling to the next town over? And, if I don't like the coffee shop in my 15-minute area, all right, I want to go to the coffee shop in the other 15-minute area, but you're not allowed to go over there and shop at that other coffee shop. All right.
There you go, Anarchy.
Well, I don't drink coffee.
Right.
So I wouldn't need to travel.
Yeah, but that's not a good enough answer, though. I've been sick of this answer. I know it's not exactly, but I had this conversation with someone earlier. What impact does that have with me and my life? It won't be me. It'll be happening in the future. I don't need to worry about it. And I say I actually dismiss that as a scam to themselves.
Doesn't it sound great if everyone was on a healthy diet?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Did I just drop out?
You did. You came back there.
Yeah, doesn't it sound
I didn't
great
hear what he said. I'm sorry.
Doesn't it sound great that everyone could be on a healthy diet?
Yeah, that'd be good. But
well, I mean, but do people have a choice?
Yeah, I don't got a choice when I just went to go to the shop to do some shopping. There's not as much choice. I can't really afford all the organic stuff, and I'm not exactly a chef. I pretty much don't do any of that shit, so I've got a limited choice. Also, even in a supermarket, there's still a limited choice.
Yeah,
you need to go to a wholesaler and buy things, at the basic product that you can then make things from scratch. That's how it should all be done. Then we'll be eating healthy because we'll know what we're making. We're not taught like that, though, are we? Most of the time now.
Local, I agree that everybody should probably eat healthy, but
I can't disagree.
Is it? I mean, this is where it comes down to the choice. We all have that choice.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, we have that choice if I want to eat healthy or not. I mean, I don't have to eat healthy if I don't want to. All right, but being basically forced into things that I don't want. All right, you don't drink coffee. What if that's the only thing that's offered in your 15-minute city when it comes down to a shop like that? It's like, well, then you'll be forced into drinking coffee. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. What if they don't want you to eat, drink tea, or eat the things that you like because of whatever reason they declare is the reason?
Well, I can say, well, what if there was 3 different coffee shops then?
Okay.
Then I would have 3 different options as to where to get
Yeah,
my
but
coffee from.
But the thing is, how far can you travel to them?
Well, they'll be in my 15-minute zone.
So in every 15, let's just say with this with that idea, every 15-minute zone has got 3 different coffee shops. All right, and but the thing is, it's like that's the only thing that you have is that limited choice. All right, what if that the only food that is provided inside that 15 minutes area is grasshopper burgers?
Yeah. Let's say I get the urge to go right now to one of the motorway services Costa Coffee drive-throughs just because I want to. I won't be able to do that in a 15-minute city, will I?
Also, I'll throw this in there too. Let's say in your 15 minutes city, every coffee shop, or let's just for shits and giggles that you do drink coffee and you want to drink coffee and you have three different choices, but all three of those choices inside your 15-minute city, it costs you £20 just to get a cup of coffee. But the next 15-minute city over, you can get it for 10.
Mhm.
Okay, and
So you are now being forced into paying £50 for a cup of coffee just because that you are being forced into this open air prison, which is a 15-minute city. You're only provided this
Lagging out there.
service, this price, because we regulated it that. Okay, how is that? How
Can you hear him, local?
no.
Okay, so it's not me then.
Oh, you can't hear me?
You
What
were
happened?
lagging really bad. You've come back though. Yeah, it was like
Oh, all right.
yeah.
Hold on. Okay, maybe I need to put my thing on ice real quick. I'll be right back.
Cool. Oh, is it overheating?
There's I've got another theory in these 15-minute cities. So
Uh-huh.
you're saying every 15 minutes there's a different part to this city. Um, whether it may be a richer lifestyle or a poorer lifestyle.
Well, that
Because,
is the way geography works right now. So if you're going to section it off, that will happen.
well, if we got it like that right now, what is it so different in the future, you know?
Well, we're certainly not set up for any future systems that are going to be any good, really, are we?
Well, hold on. Okay, so let me go back to what I said. So you're saying that every 15 minutes there's a different not a time zone, but just a different zone to the city.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's zones.
where you're paying £20 a cup of coffee, the lifestyle might be a bit greater. Um, Working the salary from work might be a bit more. Um, I
See,
don't know.
I know. See, the where we're going at the moment seems to me to be a redundant conversation. I see it for what it really is. They want to stop us moving around using the fuel because they want the fuel because it's running out and it's going to go up. Costs are. They want to have access to it. The elites, as I say, all those that have any kind of job status that is supposedly higher in any kind of government or public service, and you know you're nobody unless you're a cop or something.
That's another thing too.
That's
I was
where
wanting
it's
to
going to
say,
end
like
up.
for instance, in your 15-minute city, you will be forced to get whatever's provided to you to get a job, whatever jobs that are available in that area. So you
How
only
far do
have
you travel
that.
to work, local?
But I mean, that
Say
would be
that again.
you'll be only forced to get whatever job is available in that 15-minute city. All
That
right.
is
Yeah,
fine by me.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. Okay, so let's say that business goes. We're moving our site to somewhere else, and you haven't got that job anymore. Is there somewhere else you want to work within that time zone, or have you got to move because of a job? What about families that maybe work at different places, and are they got to split up because of work, because of travel restriction?
These are all hypothetical questions what
But
I
there
don't have
certainly
to
would come
answer.
up when that happens with the cities that are being put in place, supposedly.
I
Well,
mean,
we
because
don't
quite
know for
honestly, I don't think
sure.
enough people have thought this through. They, like I said, local. I think, I mean, you'll think it's going to be all, peaches and cream. I mean,
It might
this has
be.
all been tried
It might be.
before in distant civilizations. It's all been tried before. It's never sustainable. You know.
But with the
Oh, and they talk about
technology, it
sustainable.
could be.
Hmm.
Say what? Say that again.
With technology, we've got the technology this time.
Oh, so technology is going to save us.
Do you mean we have superior technology to what has ever been experienced on this planet before?
That's no compared to you said this has been done before, but it hasn't been done
Yeah.
with the technology that we got.
Okay, what technology do you think is going to be that's going to save us? What technology do you think we had better back from those past civilizations?
Maybe not save us, but it will
Hmm.
give us a comfortable life.
It'll control us.
Right. Right.
Well, I mean,
I,
I used to say, right, I used to say, okay, so if they want me to stop smoking, stop putting the price of cigarettes up and just ban cigarettes, just ban tobacco, don't grow it anymore, you know, don't have it as a thing.
well, even then, you're taking away your choice. I smoke.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
smoke. I smoke tobacco. I have a
Mhm.
choice. I can either not smoke it or I can. All right. And if you take away that choice, you're taking away that choice. You know what I'm saying? If I want to kill myself slowly by smoking tobacco, that's my choice. That's not anyone else's choice to make for me. You know what I'm
Well, I mean,
saying?
maybe it's healthier to eat bugs, though, isn't it? So,
But
that's a good thing. Then we should do that.
that may whatever, okay, but that's still if I don't want to eat bugs, that's still my choice not to eat bugs. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And to take away that choice, that's where it comes down to. What
yeah,
gives these what
it
gives
does.
these psychopaths that the ability to govern our behavior, our
But
choices,
it's
our
not supposed to
beliefs,
go that far.
our way of thinking.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not
Well,
supposed to go as far as it's going. That's my point with all this. They are overstepping their
Right.
mark. It's like saying to someone, "Okay, I want you to run my garage business. Buy cars, do them up and sell them. Sell fuel and do jobs for people on the cars." Okay, and then you go and look and you find that they're taking the cars off people. Doing them up and selling them, and killing the people. It's like, hold on a minute. You've overstepped your mark. It's illegal, and I'm sorry, but it is. It's certainly not righteous, is it? What
But
these governments are doing. I mean, is it
well,
really?
I mean, but even then, it's like, I mean, all right, on these 15-minute city, for instance, on that scenario, like I said, all right, if we're all basically in these 15-minute cities, the ones that are supposedly governing over us, are they going to comply with that same type of scenario? Will they be living in these 15-minute cities, or will they be able to travel wherever they want to go, eat whatever they want to eat, you know, do whatever they
Yep.
want to do? All right.
They'll have some kind of status,
I mean,
social
see, it's
status.
that idea that there's a small group of people that have more rights than the rest of us, or they have more freedoms than the rest of us. That idea
are
is
you
is
talking
this.
about now, or are you talking about the
I'm talking about,
future?
yeah, now and even back in the past. I mean, like for instance, the Mayan civilizations. They had huge civilizations. They had lots of people around, and they were all conglomerated into one area. Basically, they had their own food. They grew their own food. They had their own infrastructure. Basically,
They
it was
had
all.
sport.
Yeah, they had their own thing, but it was not sustainable because and that's why those cultures actually died out. You know what I mean? Those civilizations died out. It's all been done
Yeah, why
before.
did
So
they
to try
die?
and
They
repeat that experiment and repeat that over again in today's
Well,
society, they see today
I thought
we
it
don't
was.
even we
I
can't
thought
even
it was.
provide our own food.
I'm sorry, I've just got something to throw in here, but I thought it was the some of these civilizations anyway died because we went there and gave them COVID hundreds of years ago.
well, not only
Yeah.
that. Some of them when they overpopulated, they overconsumed, and then they had nothing left to live on, so they died out.
Okay, how is the line city? going to sustain itself? And how is it going to keep the population at a certain regulated amount? I mean, how are they going to stop from
I can tell
overpopulating,
you.
overusing the
Well,
resources?
I can tell you absolute control over everyone's minute choices in their
okay,
life.
so if I was in charge of a town or a city, I would look at what the city needs. Say it needs 5,000 plumbers. So I know I need to have 5,000 plumbers always. When
Okay.
one of them dies, you know,
How do you
that person just
propose
gets
on
replaced.
getting, let's say you needed 5,000 plumbers. How are you going to get that? Are you going to force people to become a plumber?
Um, okay, so you're gonna need to reset everything, yeah?
What you're going to need to do is genetically profile everyone who's born, so you can tell them what they're going to be when they grow up.
Yes, something like that. So when they're born, this person is going to become an engineer. This person is going to
Okay.
become uh,
Okay.
something else, in our society.
Right.
What if it says that that person's going to become a Hitler? Do they have the right to abort that for that social system? Because they don't
Well,
want Hitler, do they?
there won't be a Hitler because
But
there wouldn't be.
okay, put it this way. All right, you talk about the, let's say that, let's go on with that same train of thought with the 5,000 plumbers, for instance. All right, and in this so-called utopian society, um, as soon as you're born, you're genetically figured out, like, okay, you're going to be a plumber when you grow up, and that's the only job that you will be able to get, and that's the only thing you got. All right, you are taking away the choice from that
Hmm.
person when they're born to even
Hmm.
explore any other career or any other field or any other type of trade, because you've determined from the time they're born this is what they're going to do. You've taken away that
That's
Hmm.
whole
how.
choice.
Yeah, there is no what ifs and what buts or ifs and buts. That's the way it's going to be, and that's how it's going to be.
No, that's not the way it's going to be. The only way it's going to be that way is if everybody wants it that way. And if you're forced into it, that's not free will. That's not a choice. You're forced into it. That's basically, like I said, an open air prison. You're born into a prison, and then through your whole, from birth till death, you're told how to live, how to behave, and what you can do, how much money you can earn, what to eat. This is it.
But then, with when it comes to labeling you a
How many children you can have.
postman,
You know,
um, but then
I mean,
everything
seriously,
will
you
be
talk about the
equal.
population thing, for instance, okay, on the line thing out there in Saudi Arabia. All right. How do you think that they would actually control the population? By forcing people only to have one child? Or if they have more than one child, that other child is going to be killed? I mean, to regulate the population at a certain number?
Well. Here's one for you, Wingnut. I think the end plan, the end game for that to actually work is that it actually provides what it's supposed to do in a way, which is the other parts of the landscape of the world are left to be wilding again. Yeah. So nobody would want to be kicked out of such a place like the super expert fucking perfect city because your choice is probably die, you know?
Let's say local. Let's say that you were born and they decided that you're going to be a plumber. So your entire life, that's all you are able to do. Is that happiness?
Well, I'm happy with the job that I got now. If I
But
was
let's say the
rather, if
government
I was
told you
given
that
a
you
job,
cannot have the job that you have now. The job that you will have will be a plumber. You will be a plumber for the rest of your life.
A
That is the only job that you can
toilet
have.
plumber, only
Yeah, and that's
toilets.
all it. Yeah, that's it. That's all you got. As soon as you were
Are
born,
you
that's all you got. You're a plumber.
are you
Is
okay
that
with that?
happiness?
That's fine.
Okay, let's say that you were born and like what UK Transparency was saying. Let's say that you were born and they were saying that you were gonna clean septic tanks and drain shit piles for the rest of your life. That's what you were born to do. Is that
Hmm.
happiness?
Well, a lot of people don't like their job, but they have to do it anyway.
Well, but they still have a choice. They can actually quit and they can go find another damn job, can't they?
Or they can do that. They can do
Yeah.
that. But we're talking about these cities. So
Yeah, I
if
know. I know.
if that is what it was needed of me to be a plumber for the rest of my life,
So
then
what you're
so
saying
be
is
it.
almost like dedicated to it as if it's possibly a religion, and
Well,
it's for the
no,
greater good
because I
of
know
everyone and the
because I
continuation of
know
the human race.
everywhere that jobs are needed are already filled automatically. So I know if I was to leave my job and join something, well, if I weren't given the option, then I wouldn't have the option.
But basically, you're saying that there would be no choice. Yeah. So what would you be, a criminal then if you did that? If you tried even? And what would they do with criminals in such a society? I wonder.
Hmm.
Well, what should we do about criminals in this society?
Well, I'm sorry, but the more you try and get to a utopia, it just becomes dystopia for somebody.
See,
Yeah.
we've got all these hypothetical questions, but we're not sure
Well, no, I mean,
Well, I mean,
every
if you
society
learn
tries
from
to
history,
become a utopia, doesn't it? But it becomes
you
a
have
dystopia and falls.
you have you have to learn from history because honestly, like I mean, history tends to repeat itself over and over again. If you don't learn from history, you'll never be able to grow anything better. You'll never be able to
You,
prosper.
you, you cannot find the
You
way
know,
forward if you
see,
don't know the
our
way you've gone.
right. I mean, honestly, I mean, if I wanted to go from here to the store, I've got to know my way back to get back home. If I don't know my way back, all I'm going to do is sit at the fucking convenience store down the road. You see what I'm saying? It's the same aspect. All right. If you don't know your history, you won't know your way forward. You know what I mean? You won't even know your way back if you wanted to go back. And the thing is like, all right, like I was on the plumber scenario. All right, is that happiness? All right, and then if you decided you didn't want to be a plumber when you grew up, all right, what then?
But if I knew my position as a plumber are helping these people, that's great itself, isn't it?
What if you learned though at some
Is
point
that happiness?
that the process wasn't actually correct, and you should be a pilot?
I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, like, what if you decided you wanted to be a
Well,
carpenter instead of
see,
a plumber when you grew up?
well, you're learning. Where is the pilot thing coming from? Because
Oh
as
well,
you're
they'll
growing
still need
up,
a pilot, and I bet it's going to be an important job. I'm sure the
well,
elite
would,
need to
would
be
we
taken
would
Hmm.
to space.
would we need pilots for 15-minute cities?
No. Well, I thought we were talking about this,
Okay.
uh, like 5 mile long super city that's
Well,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
right.
even on the
5 mile long
super city,
super
that thing is
city,
still is
but
still is still that super city over there in Saudi Arabia. It's still the same thing. It's a 15-minute city just on a long stretch. It's the same thing. Let's say that you were born, and they classified you as a plumber, but when you got older, you decided, well, I want to be. I actually like doing carpentry. I like building with the wood. I like to actually make things out of wood and build houses. I actually enjoy doing
but
that
where
better.
but where would those thoughts come from? Um,
That's a
when
good
you're
question. But when
yeah,
if you don't have your own thoughts, whose thoughts are?
Oh, gone digital.
oh, you're gone again.
You
I mean,
gone metal
seriously,
Mickey. Now he's gone. There you
it
are. You're
it
back.
if those are
Hold on.
not, if you ask where those thoughts are coming from. Am I still there?
You
Yeah,
are.
you're here
Am I
now.
still there?
Yeah, yeah.
If 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 you ask where those thoughts and all that stuff, okay, if those are not your thoughts, whose thoughts are they?
Well, as a person living in these 15-minute cities, I've been born to be a plumber. That's my job for the rest of my
Hmm.
life. And growing up,
Okay.
I'm learning more and more and more about the plumbing job. Where would these thoughts? Should have been a pilot. I should have been this. I should have been that. There would
Maybe
be
you're
no
looking at
other
a plane in
thoughts.
the sky on your break that you get.
But
I might think,
but that's the thing.
what would it be like to fly a plane? That's the thoughts that I would have. Not, oh, I should have been a pilot and not a plumber.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's all
We
right.
can
Let's
get
just, like I said,
inspiration
let's
from
say
anything.
like I said, but like I said, it's like, all right, let's say that you grew up and then you were designed, you were allocated as a plumber when you were born. But as you grew up, you knew people that built houses or ran a heavy equipment dozer or something like that. You knew people that did that, and you were like, wait a minute, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? All right. But if on that level, and you were saying, it's like, where would these thoughts come from? All right, and all that stuff. It's like, okay, if you don't have your own thoughts, whose thoughts are they?
And personally, I think that all inspiration comes usually from experience and also human interaction. So if there's not a lot of human interaction in those, and there's certainly going to be less if you can't travel very far. You know, I mean, they say, what is it? You end up actually conversing properly with about 1 million people in your life. So what's that going to be in a 15-minute city? It's going to be a hell of a lot less. So that's less interaction, less inspiration, less knowledge gained
Well,
through
because
conversation.
right now, JC, SG, you're used to having unlimited um options right now.
Yeah,
You walk
there is
into a
no such
shop.
thing as absolute freedom, and I don't think there actually should be.
Well, I think right
Else,
now
I could
with
make a
access
nuclear
to,
power station for myself and blow us all up by accident.
if I wanted to walk, have a 10-minute walk, I can go and have a 10-minute walk. If I wanted to stuff myself with chocolate and crisps, I can go and stuff myself with chocolates and crisps.
Mhm.
We've got the free will now.
Oh, we have a limited freedom, but like I
You're
say, we
saying
do have to have a certain limited freedom. I've been saying we've had a limited freedom with people for years. I mean, 30 years ago, I was probably saying, well, we're not free to, I'm not free to go to Australia or America. I haven't got the money.
yeah,
That's
but
not free.
it's the money. Yeah,
Yeah, but that's not free, is it then?
that's how the system's being created.
Yeah, I mean, the
The
kings
money.
and the queens, they always kept us poor, you see, because then it kept us malnutritioned usually as
Mm,
well,
mm,
and weak enough
right.
to not fight back.
All right. I mean, when it comes down to the king and queen, if they decided that you are going to be a plumber when you were born, and you decided that and when you grew up, you didn't want to be a plumber, and you decided you liked something else, you
Mm.
liked actually doing something else, what would be the penalty for not being a plumber?
Oh, whoa. Well, also, the job of a plumber back then, those 100 years ago, I imagine might have been carrying uh, buckets of water up endless steps and freaking miles long
Yeah,
ramparts of castles.
yeah, digging out a
I,
shitter. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just,
literally wiping the queen's ass with your hand.
Oh
I,
yeah, I
I,
mean, let's say that's what your job is when you were born, is to wipe the queen's ass for your entire life. Does that sound like happiness?
I could only say my theories about the future. It might be wrong, it might be right. You know, it's just a
Right. I'm not
it's
saying that
just a
you're wrong
thought.
or right. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to ask the question. I mean, I want you to think about it before you're like, oh, I think it'll be a good thing. I think it'll be beautiful. It'll be awesome. But have you actually fully thought it through? That's why I'm just questioning. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah,
Um,
I
um,
I mean,
I think go on.
no, sorry.
no, go
Well,
ahead.
I was gonna answer Vincent Baker's question. So, what are the limits on your freedom? I did just say, like, I don't think we should be free to the point where I can say build a nuclear reactor, you know, myself. That's too free, isn't it?
Well, that's
Okay, if you don't
impossible as
have the
well.
freedom to do that, why should
No,
government?
there was a guy in America that did it. What are you talking about?
Well, just by
But I'm
himself.
saying though, if you don't
Yeah.
have the freedom to do that, why should anybody else?
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you don't have
I
the
mean,
capable knowledge of nuclear,
Okay,
whatever.
okay. Neither did the guy. Actually, he did, but he did it. He went about it without the knowledge of full protective, planning. So
but
when he did it, what he did was, those old like clocks that had like luminous glow up hands and like minute and hour points. He scraped all them off because they were nuclear radioactive, and he got so many of them.
Well,
He
he would
then
have had
put
to
it into a
learn that.
reactor that he built out of bricks and stuff in the backyard. Now they had to go and sort that shit out. Yeah, but I mean, I maybe don't have as an understanding as he does, but I certainly know how easy it is to club it all together and make it do
But
radioactive
but
but
even
fallout kind
then,
of thing from it. Yeah,
even it's
so I'll just get as many smoke alarms as I can. That'll do.
but he had to learn what he
It was,
knows.
it was all the information's accessible
Yeah,
by
but he
everyone.
didn't just say, "I want to become a a nuclear physicist right now." He didn't just
I
say
don't
that.
think he even said that. No, he just said, I want to do this," and looked it up and did
Yeah,
it.
and he put his mind to it. It's like you saying you want to go to Australia, but you
Yeah,
can't.
that's too much freedom. I don't think we should be free enough to do that. That's my point. Do you think we should be free enough to do that?
Uh,
Does
comes
anyone think we
down
should be
to
free
this,
enough to do that?
you know what I'm saying? It really does. It comes down to freedom. It's either we have it or we don't. There's no such thing as a limit, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
what? So to make you happy
Dropping out again.
is freedom.
Yeah. What's the question? Sorry again.
Um, so that's the one thing on your mind to make you happy. Freedom. That's all you need.
So much freedom, like I say, for
So
everyone.
you don't need a job. You don't need any of that.
I know that comes with freedom, doesn't it? You're free
Well,
to
does it?
start a business. You decide one day that you don't want to be working for the man. You want to be the man and start your own business doing what you've been doing that you know knowledge of. You know,
Like we're talking,
free
like we're
enterprise.
talking about, like the plumbing thing. You're brought up with a plumbing background. It'll be it'll be better if you just continued the plumbing thing. You know.
Now, I do agree. There's a certain element of passed down information which is lacking nowadays because people don't follow in their family's footsteps. Because a plumber might teach his son to be a plumber.
No, but
He teach him
these
all the
people,
best things that he knew and took years to learn, and his father taught him. And hand down.
but with
But we're losing that.
the technology that we would have in these 15-minute cities, if there's a gap in the market for something, it will be planned out already.
Yeah, that just sounds like a nightmare, a
No,
dystopia.
no, what I think it will be great.
Utopia isn't
There was
isn't
never
achievable.
there would never be a shortage of, like, let's say, ambulance drivers like there is now. There would never be a shortage of anything. So then there will be probably the cost of living will be the same for everybody. It will never go down. It will never go up. It will always be the same level.
Well, that's never been the case, though. Even when they tell us it might.
Well, right now we've got
Everything's always gone up, hasn't it?
of,
That's what happens with economies. They become unmanageable, and therefore then they have to have a reset. But we stopped resetting. That's what Jubilee was, you know. Yeah, that was when it would all be reset. It wasn't for the royals. It was to reset all of the economy, because economies, by definition, are unsustainable over long periods. And since Rome, we haven't reset. And you know what happened in Rome?
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what I'm saying happens to nearly every single society, except for the odd environmental change. I mean, if we get a big freeze and it stayed for 30 years, we'd have to adapt, wouldn't we? Would your 15-minute city work then?
Well, Michelle C has said, what would you do in your 15-minute city work-wise? This is what we're talking about, the plumbing thing.
Yeah. So local said he'd be a plumber. Yeah.
Now, if it was needed at the time of me being born, that in 20 years' time that there's the current people in the plumbing industry, in 20 years' time, when I'm 20 years old, the people that are there now.
About you guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're still a bit laggy.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
You're back. Yeah, you're just a little bit laggy sometimes. Can you hear me?
SG.
Yeah, I can barely hear you here and there. I think.
Can you hear me?
I get you sometimes.
Hello. Audio. Can you guys hear me?
Testes, 1, 2, 3.
No, he's gone.
Yeah, Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow.
Oh,
yeah, I can now. Can you hear us?
All right. Yeah, my phone's acting up. Sorry about you guys.
No worries. Yeah, technology is great till it doesn't work. And that's my point with a high technologically advanced city. If one day things don't work, like getting rid of cash. I've just lately managed to pay with the exact change in cash when tills have not been working. And everyone else is just standing there stuck.
Well, what for the change?
No, because the till isn't working, you know? Can't take card payments currently, type of thing. Or it's off. And I'm like, well, I've just bought £10 petrol. Here's £10. And they're like, fine, you can go. And people are like, what the? Oh, I wish I'd have had cash, type of thing, you know? And no one's got any cash.
Well, that hasn't happened to me, so I haven't experienced that.
I've literally had it about 5 times in about 12 months, yeah. 3 just recently.
So what did you have to do then? You had to wait?
Well, I was waiting in the queue, and then I worked out what was going on. So I walked to the front and said, I have the correct money. And then they dealt with me, let me go. Yeah, see you later. Everyone else is just standing there. The forecourt of the garage is full. People waiting to try and get served. It's a nightmare. When shit breaks down, technology, all these good intentions won't mean shit.
Am I back?
I don't.
Am I back, you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My phone's acting up. Sorry about that. I may have to start the stream over again, you guys, because I don't know what's going on with my phone.
The
Keeps
reset
on dropping
phone.
out on me. I've done it twice.
Ouch.
Yeah.
How's
I'm
the
not
weather
sure
there?
what's going on. Well,
That
I
was
mean,
gonna.
it's clear out right now. We're not expecting any rain until tomorrow. So
No sinking
I'm
into the
not sure.
ocean yet.
Oh, he's gone again.
Oh shit. See what I mean? Technology is wonderful till it doesn't work.
Who knows, SG? Who knows if life will be better or worse in the future? We don't
I
know.
mean, yeah, I know. But I mean, let's look at it like this. Every single utopia in history or potentially tried utopia has ended so badly. Why would it be any different just because of technology? Because, like I said, one day it breaks down.
Well, currently we're not doing nothing about it.
I agree. There's an absolute complacence with the general population.
We're not gonna do anything about it, just like the people before us did nothing about it. So the people in the future are obviously gonna do nothing about it.
Well, then why would you think that some 15-minute city or super city would work then? If these are the people who don't really do anything about it, it's probably some scam, isn't it? Because everything else seems to be a scam.
Well, we've got all the freedoms of the world right now, and we're not doing nothing about it.
But agreed, like I say, there's some kind of mass complacence.
Maybe that would work. Who knows?
Did we lose? Did Wingnut arrive and go again?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We've got.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I've looked at the potential